Dr. Narco Longo, talking to you from the Garden of Eden, Iron City, Georgia, Seminole County, just north of Lake Seminole. And here we're standing in front of the largest oak tree in the world.
We're down here July 15th, 2015. This big oak tree, we measured it the other day. Mark Cleveland and Chuck Norton, Georgia Forest, we came, and me personally, I believe my research, what I know was reading about the others, that this is going to be the biggest in the world.
The largest oak tree in the world. Now, there's many oak trees that would like to be the largest in the world. But when we determine this, we're talking about single trunk, or single stem. And that's what makes this tree unique, is it's a single tree. Whereas oak trees, especially live oaks, like this one, tend to grow in clumps, clusters, and those can get pretty small. The Spooner tree, as it's called. This is Spooner land. And why is the oak tree special? Aside from being so large, how is the oak in itself special? Well, the oak tree is attributed to the god Jupiter, Zeus, Thor, the thunder god. Jesus, you could even see. Oak wood is often associated with Jesus, we find. The word oak comes from the old pagan god Ukko. And Ukko is where we get the word okay. If everything's okay, then everything's good. It's God. It's great. It's wonderful. It's like Christ. Okay. Now, oak is the same word as okay. So we can see in this tree we have a special connection to Christ. Because Christ, whether Christianity likes it or not, is a representation of the pure, benevolent thunder god, as seen in all the pagan traditions before him. We find in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien that the line of Thor, or Thorin, Durin, all of these Thor characters, this family, we find them associated with the oak tree. The oak is an especially underrated tree, and there may be a political agenda behind that. As you know, Jesus is not a favored character among today's pop culture. It's no coincidence that we find the oak tree often getting the short end of the stick in terms of what's the most sacred tree, this and that. Well, in Finland, as I said, this tree is attributed to Ukko, who is the god of thunder. And this is where we get okay. It's no coincidence. What city do we find the thunder in? Okay City. OKC Thunder. That's a little, might be a stretch there. But we find in the NBA, which team is it that uses OK in their abbreviation? Oklahoma. OKC. And what is their mascot? It is the Thunder. OKC Thunder. So we see God makes himself known at every junction of human life, not just the ones we expect them. But why this is important and how you can test this, how you can see this, is the bark of the oak tree is fashioned, shaped in a way as to look as if it's being struck by lightning, as if it's being splintered, shocked. The crevices and the nooks formed by the bark replicate electric, static energy. And this is how we know this is a particularly electrical or thunder-related tree. The oak tree is the highest tree on the planet, and it was associated with the highest patriarch on the planet, Ukko, which is where we get the word oak. Now, in Helsinki, Finland, in the center of the earth, the middle of the earth, we find a special reverence for the oak tree as well. And according to one tradition, the oldest and highest, most loyal family on this planet was buried under oak trees. Their ash was buried under the oak tree.
Uncomfortable? Yeah, very.
So the oak, back to the Bach saga, is associated with Ukko, or you could say the All-Father, the highest patriarch on the planet, the highest male god in the pagan pantheon. So the oak tree, or the Ukko tree, we can say, harbors Christ consciousness. If everything's okay, if everything's great, good, we're saying it is in light of Jesus or Christ. Everything's good, everything's wonderful. So if things are okay, the word okay comes from the oak tree, Ukko. And for all people descended from Northern Europe who can trace their lineage back to the North Pole, whether they know it or not, blonde hair, blue eyes, red hair, green eyes. So all recessive genes like light hair, light eyes, light skin, go back to the North Pole. And this tree, the oak tree, and its subspecies and ancestors have traveled alongside Northern European people as they have spread across the planet. And they are the most recent race to have spread across this planet. So in the oak tree, we find a special connection to the Northern European peoples. Well, interestingly, here in Seminole County, Georgia, and southward into Apalachicola River area of Florida, this is the true Garden of Eden. And what we find is in the Garden of Eden, between the four rivers, which I will lay out in another part of this video, we are standing between those four rivers right now, here in Lake Seminole. Lake Seminole, named after the Seminole Indians, Seminole County. But also the word Seminole, meaning first or original. So with this tree, we may very well have man's origin, the first tree, one of the first. Whatever the case may be, you will not find another oak tree like this anywhere else. E.E. Calloway, Florida's 1936 Republican candidate for governor, he labeled this area the Garden of Eden, and he was not the only one to have. But he did not even factor in trees like this to his decision. Now, this only serves to further corroborate those theories. It's no coincidence that here, in the Garden of Eden, we find the largest oak tree on the planet, being watered by the most life-giving waters on the planet, planted into the most fertile ground on the planet. This is no coincidence. But you'll see the oak is the tree of the thunder god, of Christ, and the patron tree of the European people, Northern European people.
Okay, cool. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah, that
A
was
little
really
shock, a little different from a normal intro, but the connections are fantastic in my book.
yes.
let's see. So we got Black Atahm. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's just one of the names that I do every 7 days. I switch my TikTok name all the time.
So should we call you James then?
Yeah,
James
yes,
Lindsay Orbs?
yes,
Uh, go ahead.
James Lindsay.
Okay. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. To those who hear this, he's got his TikTok channel. I put it in the information box, and unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to actually. Normally, what I do, James, is I make an intro video of my guests. Like I make a compilation and 3 or 4 minute with some of your sayings and video and all that, but it doesn't matter. I think
Yeah,
it turned out all right anyways there. I think it was quite cool. I mean, when you realize um how much are so we are connected and we have so many similarities regardless of backgrounds. And so I'm looking forward to this, James. I've watched you interact with Orbs, and I'm like, this dude is a real dude who knows his business when it comes to this part of spirituality
right.
in the spirit realm and our reality, more importantly. So, and and for those who will hear this, for some reason, no one's here. I have no idea why that is. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not to be distracted. I do. I am. That last video I did, James. It's one of those things that was a deal breaker, if you will.
Right.
It's one of those videos that I'm sure a whole lot of people are like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Right. Right.
Anyways, we were talking earlier a little bit about how these old ancient trees, and look at let's go back to, we talked about in the past, folks, on lives about the baobab tree. I think that's how to pronounce it. The baobab tree.
Right.
Massive. Look at the circumference of that tree. Gosh, and they say that tree and these trees are 2,000-3,000 years old and older. Can you imagine the memory they have?
Oh, I know. That is just fascinating. So
And, and no one ever talks about them.
Right.
At least in our neck of the woods. Of course, in Africa they do, but here, a lot of the truth is coming out of Africa is suppressed, just like everywhere else. It's unfortunate. Right. But we're going to change that to the best of our ability. Maybe not everyone's ready to hear the truth, James, but we are.
Right.
So, man, tell us a little about who you are, and then we'll get into this. Orbs, and then James has experiences in the astral realm.
Right.
And I think this is extremely important. This is part of my, I want a little bit before you talk about yourself, because you don't know anything about me. You just said, "Yeah, I'm going to do it." You saw a bit of my video and said, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
We talked about, I don't doubt if we even talked about a minute together this morning. We talked a little bit. Maybe about 4 months ago about bass guitar playing in Orbs. And then a week ago, I mentioned stuff about the trees in spirit realm. But we didn't talk very much. And here you are, man. I'm so excited about this. But I was a hardcore Christian, right? Hardcore. And in the course of this journey, especially these past 10 years, because I wasn't always a hardcore Christian, I became one. Dude, I had nowhere else to go, right?
Right.
So then I can, but I'm not anymore. So I'm going to tell you that right now. So if you are, please hope none of what you just saw offended you, because I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle that because of their religious background. So
no, I'm hardcore nothing.
Yeah, at this point, I'm at the stage that's just the Lord of all spirits and nothing else. That's what matters to me. Having a relationship with my creator. And all the rest of this stuff is just dead wood, wasted time, and a trap to keep us from having that relationship.
That's right.
And James has a relationship with the spirit realm. What's up, Dominic? Dominic, if I say that. Damien. Okay. He's got a good YouTube channel as well. I mean, he films a lot of these. He's up there, Ireland, is it, or Northern UK? And he films stuff all the time in the little woods that he's at. He's totally connected to it that way. But what I discovered was about your interaction with the orbs. So tell us a little more. Tell us something about James. Who is James? Ireland. Thank you, man.
All right. So excuse the background noise if you hear. It's just a house full of family. So this is my quiet room, and often you might hear stuff. So just excuse the outside clutter.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna jump right into it.
Please.
When I was 20 years old, I've always been curious about life, and from an early age, I was brought up Christian, but I could see from the way all the adults were acting that something is not right. Like they weren't carrying the true nature of what they were, preaching at church home. So I was always very curious because I could see at an early age something wasn't right. At about 14, I started visiting different occult bookstores and being curious about Egyptian and the mysticism and spirituality and magic and Wicca. So I started buying little books here and there. And for about 6 years, I would just read different things about, different paths. It happened to be one day, October 12th, 1995. I was 20 years old, and I walked into the same store I've always been walked into, and I was led to a book. And this book was a really thick book. And I was wondering, why is this book so thick? Like, what really juicy bits of information could be in this book? So I picked this book up. It was called The Psychic Explorer, written by V. Van Dam. And I turned and looked at the back of the book to see what the subject was. And it basically talked about him being on another planet, looking up, wondering about another planet. And then a gray tube appeared, and he's traveling through this gray tube and then appears on another planet. So I'm like, what is this? So I start reading further in the book, standing there in the store, and it's talking about out of body experiences. This man has learned how to leave his body over and over again. And he's been doing it for 21 years until he decided to write a book about it. So I was like, wow, this is cool. I never heard of this. So I bought that book October 12th, brought it home. About 2:30 p.m., I've read the first 20 pages, and I was like, I'm going to try it. I've never tried this before. It sounds fun. Well, I laid down, and when I woke up.
Hey, do you mind if I interrupt real fast? What was
Yeah.
the name of that book again for everyone, including myself?
The Psychic Explorer.
The Psychic
Explorer.
Explorer, that should be good enough. It's Lee Van Dam?
V as in Victor, V Van Dam. So it's just a V Van Dam.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. Go, please continue.
And so I've read the first 20 pages. He just gets right into it, talks about how to relax the body, what you're going to expect, blah, 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 blah. So I just got right into it, laid down to try to have an out-of-body experience. I never heard of it. Well, when I woke up, I was floating in this realm of living light, playing an invisible guitar. And I was like playing air guitar, and the music I was creating was the most powerful feeling of love that you can ever imagine. And the music, it was like 3 chords that I was playing that kept getting stronger. And the more I played these chords, the stronger the love felt. And love got strong, so strong to a point where I stopped playing. And as I stopped playing, I saw a wave of music and light going away from me. And it went into the light, and the light shimmered, and then a wave of light came back towards me. And when it touched me, I heard the most beautiful sounds you can ever imagine. It sounded like the music of my soul in 7 or 8 different tones that just were perfect for my awakening, like soul feeling. It felt like the DNA of who I am. And then all that love, and all that light rose up to this oneness, and the light shifted into like a white light. And I remember existing totally conscious in this oneness, thinking pencils, pens, crayons, hammers, cups, everything being this oneness, this light. And then I woke up. Changed forever. I was studying psychology in college in my second year, and I left school, shut my bedroom door, and studied this book intensively, and started to have out of body experiences. I started to wake up floating in the middle of the night in my bedroom, seeing myself sleeping and getting excited. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And then I learned how to handle my emotions, handle my excitement so that I could figure out what to do. And then I started experimenting with aspects of out of body experiences. I started having out of body experiences. So, in the early stages of this, what I was reading in the book, The Psychic Explorer by V. Van Dam, was starting to happen to me, like in my astral projection. Like one particular time, I was reading a part of the book that explained something called external charging. And it said that external charging means that sometimes advanced beings will watch humanity and those who are trying to evolve out of this dense state of matter into the out of body and astral plane. And often they will help you one time just to show you that it's real. Then it's up to you to duplicate whatever feelings you had for your next next projections out of the body. So I was like, didn't think nothing about it, really. Wow, advanced beings, that'd be cool to meet one. So I go to sleep. And when I wake up in the middle of the night, I instantly realize something is in my room that's not from this world. The only way that I can explain it is it felt like anything I would think of would instantly manifest. And it scared me. And so I'm laying in bed in the fetal position, and I could hear like a humming or a low vibration, a power source above the house, which felt to me like a ship or a UFO. So I'm like, there's something in my room.
But
And
you
so
said is that like a shaking in the room? You mean like a shimmering, shaking, moving?
it,
Why did it
it
feel like?
was just a feeling that something is not from this world in my room.
Okay.
And I'm still laying in the fetal position, but I'm out of the body, but I didn't know it at that time. I thought I was awake, right?
Right.
And so I feel something in bed with me. Like I'm alone in bed and I feel something behind me in bed with me. So I go and push a little bit just to see if something's there. And I feel a little buzz in my lower back. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I push a little harder and the buzz got a little bit harder. I'm like, something's in bed with me. So I kind of panic and I push really hard, like, get out of my bed. And I get buzzed. I get thrown through the TV, through the wall, into the living room, and landed on my hands and knees on the carpet in the living room.
Well,
And
say what? Is this
it, uh,
literally, physically, or
out of the body. This is an out of body experience.
okay,
I
okay,
was still awake. I thought, but I was really out of the body, but totally conscious.
okay.
So I remember picking up the carpet, going, "What the heck just happened?" And then I woke up. So I felt like an evolutionary blunder. I felt like all my life I've been trying to establish contact, and I love space and I love extraterrestrials, and I just really, really deeply felt connected to extraterrestrial beings and always wanted to meet them. And I felt like that was my first opportunity, and I blew it. And so what I did after that is I said to myself, I will never let fear get into the way of my spiritual evolution and growth and connecting with these extraterrestrial beings who are here. And
I heard that's something that's. Actually, I read a whole book. I can't remember the name of it now. It was the beginning of the year, and he said the same thing. That
mhm.
fear will zap you right back into the body. So.
Yep. And so after that,
Because you hold that thought in case my friend leaves, he might still be here. And maybe he'll come back if he's not. Uncle Obvious. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. Uncle Obvious is the only reason why you guys see all the amazing images that I have filmed. He's the one that he got me the camera, the P900. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do the research that I'm doing today. So I want to thank you so much, my buddy. You're an amazing guy, a beautiful person, a beautiful man, and thank you so much. And all those who appreciate what has been, what the Most High, Lord of all spirits, has revealed to us through that camera. If it wasn't for him,
Right.
you guys wouldn't have things that we've been saying. It's self-evident that the spirit realm is multidimensional, and it's absolute truth. We filmed Orbs, and so we know that my new friend James, he's not a liar. He's telling the truth. So with that, I'm so sorry. I had to say it because I haven't seen him in years. Oh, you want to here we go. Let's let you go full screen here, buddy. Let me get my let's go solo. It's all you, man. So that's an orb that you filmed, and what's the story there?
Well, just a real quick, just after after I started, after I made that vow, I started having these positive connections out of the body with extraterrestrial beings. Now I'm going to skip through 15 years of out of body experiences to these balls of light, because I believe that I was able to contact these balls of light, and only because of my experience of the out of body experiences, I was able to make a contact with them, because I was very familiar.
By the way, I'm going to tell you guys, he's just as legit as the Orb Whisperer. I've seen him in action on TikTok, interact with these orbs. So unfortunately, we don't have any live video for it. But I'm telling you, it's real. That I go if you're interested in seeing it happen, go ahead, man.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make people know, because they'll see this in images. Well, how do you know that's an orb? And I'm just telling you, man, he can do it.
Let's see what I can get here. So eventually, what I've discovered after 15 years.
Look at all those orbs. If you see all the orbs moving around, look at that. He can make these things move, man. And he's the nicest dude in the world, so you can't demonize him and say he's like this evil human being, like a lot of people want to try to make him out to be. He's a legitimately decent human being that has the right spirit, and for some reason these things trust him and want to interact with them. Look at that. And you can't, I know that's not dust. Right. And there's nobody else that's like blowing it, just like the Orb Whisperer from Australia, man. It's legit. He's a special. I honestly think, from my personal research over the years, folks, now you might think I'm just blowing smoke, but I'm not. He's a special a special person, a special, wonderful human being. And there's, from my observation, there's not too many Jameses in this world. He's a blessing to us. So we should really try to pay attention to him. What do you have to say? Are you holding an orb?
Yes. In that
go back there. Let's go back there. Let's look at that a little closer. You're holding an orb. How many people? I see Bigfoot and Sasquatch holding orbs. I don't see human beings holding orbs. Look at that. That is so cool. And nothing happened to you? You got no illnesses or radiation poisoning and all the stuff you hear about? Okay.
No.
There's the old hat. What's up with you guys, your hats?
You see my eye?
Oh, you got an orb in front of your eye. Or is he in your eye?
It must be in front of it, or who knows.
Yeah. That's pretty trippy, man. You have an orb in front of your eye like that. What's going on here, man?
Another one, just holding another one. This is outside, but just holding another one. Or another one floating in there.
So why did they choose you, man?
I think because of my experiences out of the body, like I've already been familiar with higher dimensions and other reality beings and ETs from out of body experiences. I think that I just had a frequency that they don't mind. Like it's just a frequency that they don't mind.
Well, they obviously they trust in you for a reason.
hmm And
From what
the-
little I know of James, he's a solid man, a decent human being. So he's not like a con artist. He's not trying to take advantage of people. He's just sharing his journey with you.
yeah. Well, I'm here to just share the journey. Like we're all on this journey. This was the first picture. So how these orbs came about?
Can you
It,
blow up that a little bit to the orb?
yeah. See how it's above an altar right there? There's an
Oh
altar,
yeah. There's an altar there. Yeah, sure.
right? And so there's me posing
You got Jesus in there and everything
with
else.
this ball. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Jesus,
Yeah.
Buddha, just anything that was in my field of at that time.
Sure.
I devoted that altar to everything because everything is just so was just been so crazy that
That was sideways. We couldn't see that.
I was just trying. So what eventually happened was I was doing a workshop. I was in a workshop in Lilydale, and some people were taking pictures.
Not
And,
easy. It's not easy to do, but thank you for doing it anyways.
yeah,
You juggling that and talking and everything. I appreciate it.
listen, we'll bring it back up. So anyway, so someone was taking pictures. So all of a sudden, these balls of light appeared in the pictures. Some, people are like, "Oh, those are orbs. Those are orbs." People said those are orbs. I've never heard of orbs.
Right.
So, eventually, I was like, "Okay, cool, balls of light." So I flew back home to Texas at that time, and things like this kind of happened for me with anything that I'm supposed to know, like coincidences, strange coincidences will happen.
Yeah.
And so it just so happened that some friends come over and they say, "Hey, we've been taking pictures like crazy. Want to take a couple pictures of you?" I'm like, sure. All of a sudden, the balls of light appeared. So I bought my own camera. I said, something is weird about these balls of light. And I said, if you're real, show me a sign. And I took that picture. And that picture was that picture of me right here standing with the ball of light appearing over the altar. So once I said that was real, I said, "Okay, you're real." What started to happen was I started taking pictures every day, and then I would feel them. I would think about them, look at the clock, right? And the clock might say 11:11, 9:22, and I'd be like, "Okay, let's take a picture." And sure enough, on another day, confirmation again. The ball of light over the same spot, but on a different day. So
Ah.
I acquired about
Here, let
40,
me
huh?
let me get you full solo layout so people can see it. Okay. You got two of them. No?
Um,
Or
there's
one?
there's one right here above that spot again.
Yeah, I see that one. What's the blue one? That's something else. The blue one. Whoa,
Yeah.
look at that. Did you
So
what
so
did
I
you
started taking these pictures, and these are what I call confirmations, where they started showing me that they're sentient and
right.
posing with me over that ball of light, over that altar. So I got
I
about
wonder why they choose the altar. Have you ever thought about that? Why the altar?
Yeah, well, it was at that time, that altar was very strong. Like it felt like a spiritual battery. It felt like some kind of recharging station for me. Um, and then eventually I got about, like I said, about 20 to 30 probably of these confirmations where I would feel them, take a picture in my apartment, and they would appear right there over the altar.
Okay, so I need to stop you there.
Okay.
Got two questions.
hmm
You said you feel them, so we're gonna have to ask what that means to you. And then Damien from Ireland says, uh, wait, $1 million question. Um, are or, what actually are orbs? Ben. I think that's what you meant to say.
Right. Okay.
So, but
Well,
anyways, before we go to what you decide which one you want to go first with this.
yeah. Well, I
With the
go.
two.
What I am still discovering. I'm still discovering what they are. I haven't really come up with any hardcore. The only thing I feel that's a little bit hardcore for me is I feel that they could be anything non-physical. I feel like they could be excuse me, like when think of the gamut of anything non-physical, which could mean like it could be your best friend sleeping out of the body. It could be your dog sleeping out of the body. It could be a future. It could be your higher self. It could be a spirit, an ancestor. It could be a elemental being. It could be anything you could think of that's non-physical.
Now
But
you said earlier, and uh,
Mhm.
you were having that early experience of when you're playing the music and you were in this realm of living light.
Right,
Now, with those of us who research Sasquatch and things such as that, the things in the sky and all that, we see a lot of times you will see orbs show up first before Bigfoot. The orbs will be in the woods, and then that night or some days later, somebody's going to have a sighting. It's not necessarily the same person who's doing the research. It could be somebody completely separate, but they'll end up seeing something that looks like a Bigfoot or a dogman or an alien or whatever.
right.
So, and you're saying that, is there a possibility that they are living light, which is another way of saying it in a scientific way, plasma?
Right, right, right. That
Is that
definitely.
something?
Definitely. That I just heard someone speaking on some science channel about a plasma theory, about a universe. You know how there's different theories, but there was a plasma universe model. And I was really listening to it, and that sounded about right, like about these balls of light. That sounded like that could be right.
So they're the fourth state of matter, right? There's solid, liquid, gas, plasma.
Right,
And
right,
somehow they can go from one of these matter of these elements, excuse me, one of these states of matter to another, seemingly disappear, but yet they're still present,
right,
right?
right,
And or disappear altogether. And so we seem to have limited influence on them, except for a guy like you. Uncle Obvious, my buddy says they are spirits. Would you
mhm.
agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Anything non-physical is what I'm going with right now, and that's the pretty wide variety of things when you really use your imagination. What could be non-physical?
Now,
I mean,
can you see the chat?
um, if
Did you
if I,
not? You did.
if I
You did.
look at, yeah, I see 27 comments. Can you still see me right now?
Yeah, it
Okay,
doesn't influence
I,
us.
I
The
can't
only thing
see.
that's my influence is when it's time to share an image, he's not going to be able to watch your chat. Most likely, he's sharing an image, but
Right,
they're asking questions, and I'm like, man, I maybe he knows how this game works. He's got TikTok channel. He can see that stuff. He'll answer it on his own. That's the best way to do it, folks. I should be posting these things. I'm so sorry. I'm so enthralled by James. I have no idea. I know it might seem strange to the rest of you guys, or maybe not in this room, but somebody might hear this who hasn't had experiences and encounters
right,
and seen things, and to see a dude like you is such peace with this and such harmony with it. I mean, you're an inspiration to a guy like me
right.
because
Oh, thank
there's something good about this,
right,
something pure about this, and a lot of people want to demonize this, but we're doing this based on our own ignorance,
right, right,
and this is we should not do. But go ahead, man.
right. So yeah, so where were we again? We're about the about what are the orbs and stuff. So yeah, anything non-physical. But that all. So also like so I can go. So I started taking pictures every day. Once I found out they were real, I was like a mad scientist. I was like getting as many cameras as I could and taking pictures of myself. So I was in my apartment one day about a few weeks into this, and I took a picture of myself, and down on my leg, next to my leg, was a little blue orb. And I zoomed in on it because it was really small, and and, um and there was a face in there, and it was a smiley face. So that was
Oh,
like the first time I saw a face. So I'm thinking, wow, I want to see what's inside of these things. So I started taking pictures, more pictures, and zooming in. And not all the time, but I started seeing faces. One time a friend comes over and he has a camera and he's like, well, let me see if I can get these things. And he takes a picture of me, and one appears above my head, but it's one of the most perfect faces I've ever seen, and I still show it to this day. This is it right here. If you want to make me big, if you have to, but this is
oh,
going.
please, please, let's do that.
This is the one of my favorite faces of all time. Zoom it up a little bit.
Oh, wow, I can see it. Yeah. Is it
You
like
get that?
what kind? Is that like it's almost human? Like it's does it got like hair?
It kind of looks like hair. Kind of looks like a little pointy nose. You see a little cleft of a lip with an open mouth.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
You see and you see the white of the eyes. So I learned to look for the white of the eyes, and it kind of helps me zoom in to see, um, a little bit better. It almost too in this picture almost looks like there's a row of teeth. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why they would project a row of teeth, but right in this area and underneath there, it almost looks like a row of teeth down there.
Yeah, I see that. I can see it now. Now I can see the truth. So okay, I see it. I wish I could point my cursor there, but I can't. So you guys just take a look at it. This is an orb, and so you got to remember this is a ball of light, and it's let's see else. There's more. Is there more than one entity there? Do you think?
Yeah, there probably is because usually when I look at them, I've been studying them for a long time. So sometimes I'll rotate it like this, and I'll see something completely different.
Yeah, I see it. I see the eyes. I see the nose. It seems almost like he's got like teeth, like well, he saw. I can see the nose, the eyes. The eyes are quite clear. The nose and the nose upside. Oh, and so is there two of them? One
Well,
on.
that was just reverse. Even turned upside down, it looks like other things. Like it looks like really to me like fourth dimensional material or something. Like stuff that changes with your perception.
Well, I have a theory. If you want, would you like to hear for whatever it's worth? But I need to work on it.
Sure.
One of the reasons why I want to do it. Oh, look at that. There's multiple entities. That one's a really good one. You can see the one on top, and then there's a larger entity with teeth, almost like fangs. That would almost something might remind them of Dog Man, and there's a human on top of it. And they do a lot of stacking up. We film it all the time in the trees like this, and then where we call them stacking up or creating a totem,
Yes.
or they might mass like a boil together. But I have a theory about orbs. I think that there are multiple entities in each orb,
Yes.
and they're like a vehicle for these small spirits. Oh, look at that one. Look at the two eyes, the nose, and the big grin on his face. Now we filmed larger entities in the trees with that big kind of, some might call it like a clownish grin or a big mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Very much, very much like what
This
very
one
much what a Sasquatch would see.
right. This
Look like.
was up in the trees. This one was coming out of nature, and I zoomed in on it.
So it was coming out of the trees.
Right, right, or bushes, something.
The same thing. Trees, bushes. It's all they're they're like the highway between the underworld and middle world and the upper world. So, and they use the energy coming out of the trees. I'm totally convinced of that. Oh, expand that for us, please. That looks like a fantastic one. This is you outside.
Mm-hmm.
And where is this? Outside?
This is outside my apartment at the time, and I was just in this picture right here.
Now we have to talk about your state of mind at this point when this happens, because when I'm really connected to the Lord of all spirits, Heavenly Father, I end up in places and was not planning to be filming things. Is that same thing that happened to you? Or similar to it? It doesn't have to be the same,
I've noticed that when I'm in a elevated consciousness or I create a sacred space, they appear. If I just go out there and try to take pictures of myself, I might get one or two. But when I create a sacred space and elevate my thoughts to a higher level, a higher dimension, they appear a whole lot more and easier.
Yes, that's a very good one. And look at the rings within the rings within the rings. And we read about this in the Bible about Ezekiel and his story. Have you thought about that?
I just came upon Ezekiel yesterday and was reading about the wheels and the wheels
within wheels, yes. And the eyes, multiple eyes.
Yep, and the eyes.
And the multiple beings.
Yep.
That appear like they have like at least 3 heads, shifting and changing and morphing. I think that they're trying to describe what we're filming now is what we call orbs.
Now,
stars.
That looks to me in the middle, it looks like a woman reaching out to like a baby in a crib for some reason. A woman in a long dress.
Okay.
Can you see her?
I see multiple entities, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah, there's multiple entities.
I can see there's like a woman that might be cradled and within that circle on the bottom of the circle. In the inner circle, there's like it's like flowing with the circle. Is that what it is? Yeah, I see multiple entities is what I see. But that doesn't mean anything because
right.
But that's definitely an orb in my book.
No,
that's not a ball of dust.
Right.
This is very important information because
right.
In our journey and quest to understand, our realm.
So the highlight of this orb career is one of my favorite orbs. One day I was with my ex-wife. At that time she was my girlfriend, and I was much in love, and I took a picture just to show her that these things are real and to show her what I was into, and one appeared above my head with a word in it. And if you can go back to the big screen.
Oh yeah, we're doing that for sure, bro. A word in it. Now that's you don't hear about that too often. A word within the orb. Okay.
And by the way, I believe there's a connection by crop circles. You know how there's crop circles in England, and then zooming in on these orbs is cropping them. I believe that there's a connection between crop circles and cropping orb circles, and I'll get to that in a second. This is the one I cropped it. This is the one with the word in it. Okay, you ready for it?
I'm ready for it, man. Love?
Absolutely.
And manifest the word love in it.
Absolutely. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's a beautiful reality we live in.
It's better than NASA and their image where it says sex. Or something like that. Yeah, that's very positive. Love coming from an orb. Yeah, there it is. LOVE. Lowercase e.
I'm not sure if it's backwards because I see it backwards on my screen, but you might see it
No,
forward.
no, it's right. I can see it. It's LOVE, Thursday, and there's a head that's also associated with the V. At least it looks like from there, almost like an alien type head.
Yeah, they say it looks like 4 beings on top there or something. Some people have said. I
Oh
see.
yeah,
I don't.
the ones in the red head ones.
Yeah.
Yes, which makes sense. So this brings up the question then, my friend, is that, because you hear all sorts of, everyone has their, if we're honest, it's very difficult to be honest. It takes a lot of work and an immense amount of work. There's a lot of self-reflection. I realize how much little you know, and that most of the time we just parrot phrases and words without really questioning things. And so here we see an orb that has the word love in it, and yet it has beings that some people would say look demonic, right? Demonic in question, or evil, right? Because they don't look like what we've been told. We've been brainwashed by movies and
Right.
all these, science fiction and all that stuff,
Books.
in religion in
Right.
particular. And it comes out that here's these entities. They're not saying I want to kill you. They're saying love. So you can't judge a
Right.
book by. And what I'm learning is one of the most powerful lessons in the spirit realm is you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't,
Right.
because they
Right.
don't. Just because they don't look pretty to us or might look frightening doesn't mean they have ill intent.
That's right.
It's us judging them at this point, not them judging us.
That's right.
And I think one of the things I had to learn is to stop judging them, accepting them for what they're there. They're real. They have a reason to be here.
Right.
And it's interesting, when I stopped judging, I started getting, amazing images.
Right.
I think they're amazing images.
Right.
I think they might be much, anyway. So, and you combine the two, and orbs are a huge part of it, and portals. And how do these things project themselves? Or it's almost like they have the ability, these spirits, and depending which types they are, I guess, maybe they can be small as a pinprick and become 10 feet tall, giant. How does that happen? The plasma has to be a lot involved with this, and living light, living energy. I mean, that's what plasma is. And they've come to a realization that it's actually it's a living. And somehow they know, or when we're not in this physical state, and we go back into we call heaven, or the many different realms within heaven, we become a different thing altogether, right? We lose the density and everything else, and you know about this. So let's go back to this whole thing about when you leaving your body and all that. And people talk about how light it is. Tell us about that. I mean, when they talk about you can have like 360-degree vision, and it feels light as a feather, and if you're in the right state of mind, you just travel through walls, and next to in another dimension. And go ahead and tell us, boss.
Oh yeah. So in the beginning, like I said, I'd wake up floating in my room. I had to learn how to handle my fear, because my fear was stopping me from connecting with and having enlightening experiences. So after that experience I said about the UFO, feeling that being in my room, I made that vow. And the very next time I had an out of body experience, I was outside, outside on the street somewhere, and I looked up and I saw a UFO. And that UFO was shooting down like rainbow colored lights all across the city. So I raised my arms towards it and sent a wave of energy to it, saying that I see you and that I accept you. And next thing you know, this UFO starts coming right at me. So next thing you know, this UFO is starting to speed up and zoom right at me like it's going to crash into me. My arms are still outstretched. At that moment, the fear tried coming in, And I said, no, I'm not going to fear it. I'm going to let this happen. I'm out of the body. There's nothing that can hurt me anyway. And this UFO came right at me, and it got sucked right into my heart, and like this zoop, and I felt that deep feeling of love and truth again. I felt like a deep brotherly kindness feeling that was on a different level. And then I woke up. So I felt no longer an evolutionary blunder, so to speak. So then, so over the years, I've had many different types of out of body experiences where I've been shown different dimensions, lower dimensions. I've been participating in scenarios of war where, like joining angels and different things where like the world is shifting and
Yeah.
things like that.
Well, you
And
just had a recent thing, just a
right,
recent event. Will you be
right,
willing to share that with
yeah.
us?
You want me
Now,
to
it's
do?
kind of, I warn everybody, it's going to sound far out, but just remember, we're dealing with something that's far out. So if you can suspend judgment and realize that this is far more real than any super. In fact, I'm totally convinced that a large part of what we call science fiction is inspired by these events
By
that
real
he's going
things.
to, but what you experienced,
Right,
right? In the
right.
astral plane and the spirit realm and comes back and people then we share it. So go tell us about that, will you?
Well, I'm still I can trying not to go too far ahead, just giving a little so after all this, so over the years, um I just been exploring consciousness of the astral plane and having these experiences um of UFOs. Like there'd be an experience where I'd be outside in my out of body experience, and I look to the sky and I say, "Show me a sign." And next thing you know, there's something moving in the sky that looks metallic and gray, and it comes down and lands on my nose. And then I start breathing that oneness again, feeling that oneness feeling. So, what eventually started happening was,
Say that again. No, I'm not questioning the thing you're saying because I know you're a real deal. You
Mhm.
said what
I
landed
said,
on your nose? Something landed
uh,
on your nose.
yeah, like a metallic being or something, like something flat, something moving around up in the air, shrank and came down and landed on my nose. And
It's
then I
amazing.
breathe in oneness and feel this oneness that I was breathing. So eventually, my out of body experiences, I began merging with their crafts. I
Right.
began, I call them down to me, and they come and we change together, and shift into like all of a sudden I'm a chariot. I'm standing on the chariot, flying through the sky, blasting red hot chili peppers and or something like that, down to the earth, or so in my
Uh,
so I
are we talking about the band or are we talking
yeah,
about
yeah, the band.
which song were you playing? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember, but I just know it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, because that's one of my favorite bands. So it was like I got a device in that dream where I was able to like play music and fly around the city, and so I was just having fun playing music and flying around the city. So
That's what a wonderful experience to have.
yeah, yeah.
These experiences are real. I've had my own since I started focusing this because I've seen the power of intent and what we focus on. It's true, man. So I started this year. Just started being investigating, studying near death experiences, out of body experiences, and I had the coolest lucid dream. Uh, but maybe we'll talk about later. And it was so powerful
Hmm.
and undeniable. It was the most coolest experiences I had.
I want
You
to
know,
hear.
when the state before you fall asleep, I was really close. I was really focusing on Heavenly Father, a Creator God, Lord of all spirits, and I just kept telling him, "I want to be with you. And that's my only heart's desire. Nothing in this world matters to me. Nothing outside of you. Nothing matters." And I just was talking to him legitly,
Hmm.
like you and I are talking, right? But he wasn't talking back. But obviously, the ethereal realm and was hearing me, right?
Hmm.
And I laid down in, my inner mind, we talk about the third eye and all that. I just, next thing you know, I'm going through this. There's like the mountains, and there's this bluish purple tint to it, which you probably recognize and relate to, right? And there was a light in the distance that was there, but it wasn't really powerful and strong to overpower everything like the sun and the earth does. It's just distance. And then it was moving along and leading me along into this deep valley with deep mountains. And there was this lattice like structure that almost like designed like patchwork pattern, or you know what I mean, stitched together. That was like somebody might call the dome, or a type of dome that was going over. And then on the other side were massive pyramids, like you see in Egypt, right?
Right.
But I kept on going down the valley because I kept on saying, I want to see you. And as I was going through this portal, eventually went into the valley, this beautiful valley with bluish hues and purple hues, and this subtle, soft light in the distance. I was like, the portal part, the tunnel part, first came at all these heads of all the people in my life saying all these negative things to me. But I said, nope, I'm going forward. I'm not going to be distracted. This time I'm not going to get off the straight and narrow path, the literal straight and narrow path that I believe Jesus was talking about, right? And then the next thing was, or a lot of these scary entities, like what you see in the image back in here, popping in and out, trying to scare me. And I said, nope, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just going forward. And then I pop into this beautiful valley, and it's just, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching the ground or anything. And I'm way above. I'm like, I don't know how many thousands of feet above. And I'm just a beautiful light in the distance. I see these pyramids, and I just like, and what happened then? I think it stopped. What happened was actually I woke up, or I moved, or something. The sun woke me, or something. Something happened that popped me out of it. But it was so vivid and so strong. It was the most powerful vision or dream I ever had.
Wow.
You probably know what I'm talking about with these things. And I'm just like, well, with pyramids, and that I do. I think that we are in, I don't know how you describe this. To me, there's a theory out there that resonates with me right now. I'm not saying it's true, but think of the soul trap, the reincarnation soul trap matrix. And if you don't get yourself properly aligned with the creator, until that's the true lesson that we learn. All this other stuff about being a nice guy and all that, if you're focused on the creator, it's just by default, this was going to happen. You're going to be a nice guy, or you're going to change the time, right? You can become much more gentle and softer and more patient person, right? It's just the natural process. It's not, people try to work on their character and all that. And I understand, because when you're operating the flesh, you don't know any better. But when you realize, when you finally it comes to you, which took me a long time, right? I'm 55 years old, and I finally really am starting to understand this, right? But if you just actually desire, focus on the Lord of all spirits, and the phrase that seemed to works for me is Lord of all spirits, and just say, ask him how his day, or it could be a she for all I know, because we don't know. It's a spirit, right?
Yeah.
Some groups say it's a he, some groups say it's a she.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, based on our dogma, that doesn't make it true. Just because the words on page, that doesn't necessarily, it's the absolute truth. You have to be able to, it has to be demonstrated, it has to be reproduced, it has to be, there's a lot of, so anyways, so I just try and be very, very non-judgmental at this point, not focusing on the evils of this world, and just focusing on God. And because I don't see anything else in any other point.
Right.
And the existing here, right? I think you go through this phase, a cycle, in this heavy, dense phase where the things of the world matter, right? And maybe we're trapped due to hormones and biochemistry and maybe the spirit realm itself. Maybe we have some kind of agreements. In fact, I'm totally convinced that, because even me, like my mom said, that I was kicking and screaming. I didn't want to come to this place. But when you look at the whole picture, you realize that we did agree to come back here for whatever reason.
Right.
It might have been a mistake, but we agreed to come back here, and then you have different you can annihilate yourself into oblivion and try to come back again and again, and you will come back until you figure out what the only lesson that there is. Now, I might be wrong, James. You tell me if you're wrong. Maybe you have a different perspective. But to me, the only thing that matters is learning that simple truth. Only thing that matters is being at one, true singularity, which is when you're at one with the Creator. That's the true thing. We're trying to replicate that with computers, never going to work. The only true way to have singularity is to be focused and put your attention on the Creator. And one of the things you have to do is get so humble that you're not seeing anything except the heart's desire to be with the Creator. So there's no longer a he, she, any of that kind of stuff, right? You get to the point, you just throw up your hands and say, all I know is I want to be with you. And that was what I was going through that whole evening, right? I was just like totally focused on him. And there's a lot of other things, there's weird things were happening that week too. And like something happened with my big brother towards me that was very negative, I think, trying to distract me. And then there was other things going on spiritually with people I was interacting with. There's, the spirit realm used those people to throw us off and until we realize that's what's happening, you know what I mean? And then you're just like, well, how do I get myself rightly aligned?
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot of work. You have to say, I'm going to focus on you, God.
That's right.
Focus on the Creator.
Right.
So anyways, is that the same thing for you? I mean, does that?
Yeah. I was for a long time I was toiling in relationships, mostly long-term relationships with people who weren't really my vibration, but more or less just like a good company. And for a while there, I got to the point where I said, you know what? I think I'm supposed to be loving God the way I love my wife or my girlfriend.
Yes.
I said to myself,
but not in a lustful, sexual way.
No, not like that.
It's the heart.
God, honest to God,
desire.
It is a funny being, and it will play with you. If you want to play with love, it will play with you with love. But if you come with anything less than love, it'll turn its back on you, and you'll be alone. So that's one thing I have. So when I discovered these orbs, the one thing that came to me was that feminine aspect of creation. The goddess was what they say. And so
are we talking about Sophia, or are we talking about
I'm talking about creator.
Goddess?
Yes.
Is there a specific name or character we're talking about?
One half of the great force.
Well, God is the true God is androgynous. It's not right. It's not.
But it can
like us.
But let's say if it can be a male or female, they would say the same things, but very similar, but maybe a little different. You know what I mean? But they still are both one united being that dances upon all life and seeds worlds within worlds, and their whole existence is just to become and have life overflow everywhere. Just the beauty of life and
this place is full of life. I mean, look at the images in the back. Look at the images you're filming. I mean, this is not just parallel universes. This is within our own realm, hidden from us based on our limited vision.
Right.
And this light spectrum, but they're there. They've always been there.
And this is our home. These are our friends. We are not human. We are spiritual beings in these physical bodies.
Do you ever wonder if we don't even look anything like us? You know how like the Roman Catholics have all the angels. Of course, they have the traditional naked boys all over the place. Hey, you know what that's all about. But the other thing is, they like to have all these like Caucasian males and all that kind of stuff, and they're all like supposed to represent the saints. And but I'm thinking that since they lied to us about everything else, and I'm seeing these things along with human spirits, I'm wondering if we can be, depending on where we're at and where we agree to go to, well, first of all, there's a possibility that maybe our spirits do look like Bigfoot, or do look like a dog man,
Right.
or do
Different.
like, yeah, we can't just assume that when we go to the other side that we're going to look like what the Roman Catholics tell us.
Right. Well, I've been able to turn into different things, like you said earlier. Like in my last experience out of the body, I was showing people in the out of body experience that you can turn into all these different things. And so I would turn into a star, I turned into a ball of light, I turned into a rectangle. But to be honest with you, Mike, I've seen so many beings,
I
just
believe you.
like you have, but out of the body, I've
You
seen.
have
Oh,
a different experience altogether, more manly, more
oh
powerful
yeah,
one. Be honest.
have an idea of how really exotic life can look like pure exotic, purely exotic things that normal people wouldn't, somebody would say, oh, that looks scary, but no, what's funny about my balls, these orbs, is that if a person is of I was showing them to everyone when I was discovering them, and that face I was showing to everyone. It seemed that there was a common theme amongst people who were lower consciousness, that lower consciousness people would always see skulls and demons and, oh, that looks scary. But someone who was a more positive person would always see smiles and, oh my God, there's a smiling guy, there's a smiling woman. They would be positive energy. So it's very interesting, the power that we have and what we choose to see through our heart.
I think I think we don't realize the kind of power we actually have.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking the emotional thing, the feeling side, the heart. I don't think we are. I'm just now realizing what it means too. We think it's like doing good to others, which we do a terrible job of when we're focusing that way, or presenting ourselves as something more than we are, or faking till you make it. But when you finally, like for me, well, I haven't been out in the field since August the 8th, but then the 7th, like, the image of the entity, um, to the furthest left of me, the dark one that has the infant on its shoulder. I don't know if you can see it, it's very jet black.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how many people actually film a quote unquote Sasquatch with an infant on his shoulder? Now, I admit it's a little blurry because these are interdimensional beings, but you can see clearly enough that there's something there. Whether it's a Bigfoot or not, that's another thing. But in that process, I was being led.
Mm-hmm.
I was being led, and I was just like, the past 2 months in particular, 3 months, I'm just being led.
Right.
It's like that next phase of being honest. And
Right.
then I'm like, God, this cannot be at all good for me. And it can't be any good for the other things that I'm afraid. I think fear goes both ways. I think when we're fearing these beings, they feel it themselves. I
Right.
think at times
Right.
they feel resentful of the fear because it affects them in a frequency type way. It affects them and their own. It's kind of like a spiritual warfare in which, and I see this with like a lot of I always say, I guess, fellow Christians, although I'm moving more. I'm now an eremite, which means a Christian hermit, but now I just put an X, and I'm even further away, right? I still believe in Christ, but Christianity I can't stomach at all. But at this point, organized religion all across the board. But
Right.
regardless of that, it's like, I think, okay, so when I was a Christian, right, and I was really steeped in it, I had some negative experience with these things. And I think is because I was projecting this attitude that they're demonic and they're evil
Right.
and they're
Right.
and then like the demons and then they gave me what I wanted. I projected it. I've created I've made it happen. I didn't even realize it was happening. Does that make sense? Since my attitude has changed, I film
Right.
things with ease. I don't spend a lot of time out in the woods, just like you know what I mean? You go with the feelings, and I'll spend like 5 minutes taking half a dozen pictures and come back with the most amazing images.
Right.
Where other guys or gals will spend the whole day trying to find something, and I'm not judging them. I just think that we've missed the understanding of what's going on here. And from my experiences, you have to get really, the attitude has to change. You first got to learn to truly desire and love the creator. And then I think the next phase that at least I'm going through, maybe you can relate, James, is learning to love the creation, which it sounds like you're way ahead of me with it. If you can go into these other realms and interact with these things that look like monsters, according to Hollywood, you're far ahead of me.
Right.
You're far ahead of me. I know that.
Right.
So, which I have a lot of respect for you because of that, because I know that's the attitude you're going to have. If you want to have positive experiences with, because these things don't want to possess us.
Right.
They don't
No.
want to. They don't want to ruin our lives. They don't want to possess us. I mean, I'm not saying there's not necessarily bad entities here, but I think we attract them when we're in this. We don't even realize when you're going full blown Christian, that how the negative vibes you're projecting to the spirit realm.
Right.
Now,
Right.
look at that. Look at the multiple ones. Eyes within eyes. Look at all the dots. Circles are like donut shapes. And the one in the middle there, does it got like 3 eyes, or is that 2 heads, 3 heads, morphing together?
Looks like 2 little orb stalks, like eye stalks.
Oh, look at the one on top there. Oh, yeah, look at that. Can you brighten it up again? That's within the orb.
Right. I'm gonna go
So
dark.
what do you think that is? What do you see within that orb? I mean, I see like other orbs within the orb.
Yeah, I mean, this is a crop of a picture where I would go outside and I would ask these beings to show themselves. And this happened to be that picture that I showed you before happened to be a power point, a power spot out in nature. And I would ask them, I would clear that energy spot and ask them to reveal themselves. Now, and so that picture happens to be the original picture looks like this, right here.
Thanks for sharing these images, James.
That's the
Good
original.
Lord, look at them. Look at all of them. Yeah. Well, I have to ask you again, what was going on inside you that made these things manifest the way they do?
I simply ask out loud, do you want me to show you to the world? And I got a yes in my heart. And I just started taking pictures every day and experimenting with different places, different times, different things, and getting results all the time, no matter what. So
I had the same feeling as well. As like the attitude is like, I think like these spirit entities and these ones travel through the trees and part of the underworld, they want me to share the truth as well to the world.
right.
I mean, they don't want people to think they're a bunch of monsters. They want to be accepted. Oh, look at that one. Yeah, look at it. It's like, well, how many eyes does it have? The eyes within eyes stuff. What do you see when you see it?
I see a little male face here and a girl face over here.
Okay.
And this was actually taken inside of a shopping mall.
So next time we do a show, remember to, if you can, send email me the images, or if you're on Facebook, or you can messenger. That way you won't have to the struggle of trying to show the stuff, right?
Yeah,
I'll just show it in order. Oh, this is live. So what's going through your head? That's what I want to know. What is that state that you're talking about that makes it happen? I know you guys, you throw out these words like be positive and love and all that kind of stuff, but dude, I'm 55 years old. Obviously my understanding of love and positive is not what your understanding is, because you're making these things happen.
Yeah. Love to me is something that's not stagnant. It's something that's ever growing, ever changing. And love to me is something that I'm learning within my thoughts every time I shut myself up when I say something negative about another person. I'm always self analyzing my negative states and trying to elevate my own thoughts and my feelings to a state of love. I'm always checking myself so that my vibration is always in that path, simply because I just have no.
So basically what you're checking is your judgmental, condemning.
Right, right,
So
right.
how do you, so what do you say to yourself? Because they say that you have to recognize it, but you don't want to be saying it. You want to say something else. What do you say?
I just say stop. And for me, it's coming to the point where I'm able to feel negative energy and be able to cancel it before it even manifests as a thought, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but it takes this as that's very powerful. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Part of the spiritual warfare that I went through the past couple of weeks, I had to wrestle through it
Right.
because of what was being projected on me
Mm-hmm.
by someone else. And of course, I kept it. I try to be positive. I wish for their well-being, and I try to stay focused on the Creator. But what I think was also being revealed to me was the fact of, you know, spiritual warfare, and that it's real. That people are going to sense who you are, and if maybe okay, so there are those that work within the darkness and have dark, powers, if you will, and that those that work in the light. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same thing as what we learn in Christianity and all that. It's
Right.
something much more shamanic and much more. It's how people work and interact with the spirit realm. And some people want to use it for power and for their own personal power and gain, and there's others like us. Sometimes within you is that we're not out to try to um, you know, buffalo people or take their money or control them or start
Right.
a
Right.
cult.
Right.
We just we're sharing our journey, man. And we're saying we just
Right.
want to know the truth, and that love of the truth and leads to self-reflectiveness, and then you start realizing I have a lot of issues, and the only way this is going to be fixed is when I start working on that process of singularity with Creator.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And the like for me, I don't have a concept of a creator. I don't have that. You know how religions say God created everything, blah blah blah. I don't have that kind of mindset. I have a mindset
Did you
of,
have it at one time?
I mean, in my teenage years, you know what I mean? Like when I was a teenager.
Which, by the way, it sounds like you matured into a point of what? What is Creator? They talk about as a spirit,
Right, right.
but
But
or
but
what
what
does
I
that
think
mean?
is that that creation is still discovering itself, and that it's constantly evolving to the point where, like, I've read something really interesting about it said in this book called Initiation recently. It's about a woman who experiences her past life in Egypt, and she was getting taught by Akhenaten, one of the last sons of God, is what they called these beings. And these beings were like
Was that
teachers.
Egyptian?
They were the beings with the elongated skulls. But what this book says is that they weren't
The
just the
Anunnaki, then, as
only
you're talking about?
they didn't say Anunnaki, but the funny thing is that this book says that there was many different types of beings who would be considered the sons of God on the planet at that time, but only these beings were like directly connected to source. I
Okay.
mean, they had no physical urges, they had no physical desires, they had nothing but pure divine primordial essences, and they were connected to the source itself. and other beings just like them on the planet weren't at their level. They were more like us, like regular men. And so these beings and these other beings coexisted on this earth. Well, these beings, the way they explain what God is it's a little difficult for me to explain, but all that stands up in my mind right now is they said that the farther that God gets away from itself, okay, the farther that the light goes out into the dark, into the universe, the hardest, the more solid that light gets, right? So it's very something different that I've ever heard. And then to the point where that light becomes so solid that it starts to return back to itself. Um, and um, and so there's a whole. I have to read again about it. But when it
Or
comes,
there's something like a torrid field.
right,
You know what I mean? Like
right. And by the way, I do have to go pretty soon because I'm this is the only room I have available, and it's my kids' room, and they have to go to bed soon.
well,
So
that's
but we can do a part two tomorrow if you like, or we could set up a time 9 o'clock anytime and give it another hour and a half.
would you like to do it this Thursday? Can you do it this Thursday?
I work this Thursday and Friday, but I'm off Saturday. I'm always off Monday and Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesdays are always
I will have my son Saturday, Sunday, but I think this is a conversation that actually I think he should be exposed to.
right. Oh yeah. My kids. I've taken my kids outside to show them ships in the sky, and they've seen them. You know, I've been
So
out.
tomorrow I got a lot of running around to do, and I got my son, so I'll be too spent to do a show.
Oh yeah.
But if you and let's see, you work Thursday, Friday.
Well, my schedule changes, but I'm off every Monday, Tuesday, and then every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the other week. So I'm either off Monday, Tuesday, 1 week, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Why don't we just do next Tuesday?
Right. Oh, and by the way, I'm a CNA, and I've been able to help people. I've worked with geriatrics, and I've done this for over 20 years too, and I've been able to use the out-of-body experience to help others who have transitioned and meet them on the other side in their lives, at the end of their lives.
Because you know what I would really like to do, because I was hoping we would take a break, and then the next half to have you do some of your like a teaching and share with us more. I'm just gonna like step back and just let you just go, but because I seen you do it on TikTok and you can do it. You don't need to have me interacting with you. And one of the things is I know I'm probably just as guilty as everyone else, but when in the chat or in the box, you'll end up have 2 or 3 people, and you'll start saying something profound. Next thing you know, it gets derailed because everyone else has put their 2 cents in. And so I don't want to do that. So the next time we do this, I'm going to be stepping back a lot. I'm just kind of introducing. We're
Yeah.
introducing ourselves to each other, really.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
definitely.
but I really want to hear because I know you have some insights because I heard it.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
I want you, and I'm going to let you have free reign. And if you want to talk for a whole half an hour about something specific or the
Right.
spirits influence you to say something
Oh
that
yeah.
needs to be said, do
I
it,
would
man. Okay.
love. I'd love to do that.
So
Okay.
this is not about starting a religion or some kind of cult or anything like that. We're coming to a realization of a greater understanding, and you're far ahead of me with this,
Yeah.
of the diversity
Right. The
of the
fun.
realm. Go ahead.
The funny thing about it all is really like we've always been taught about a male god, and when I switched it up and started taking that love for a male god and also including a feminine divine goddess, my whole life changed. Like I was able to see myself how this world put a kind of patriarch mentality in my mind, even when it comes to lust and all these things and things like that. And so I was able to really look at myself and apply a joyful acceptance of a feminine aspect and understand the power of the feminine essence, and how to honor the feminine, and how to see that love within all life, how to honor all life. It really helped me be able to handle people and situations, just understanding that this is a child of the goddess or a child of God, or just to really just understand that we're all just living, and it's everyone's, you know.
Is there any possibility, and we talk about the feminine side and the masculine side of God, that we are projecting too much of ourselves into this? We're projecting
Definitely,
our
definitely,
meat suit and our
definitely,
physicality into something that is beyond that. So
yeah, yeah,
it's like
yeah,
we visualize femininity, so then we
right,
think of a woman loving their baby and obsessing and doling, and I think that's wrong. I think there's something different. There's something it's
right.
beyond the physicality. It's like
But
maybe we're even using the wrong words at this point. Maybe
right,
we
for
better readapt.
most people have been focused so much on the male that you never hear anyone talking about a female aspect of it. Even though you're right, there still came a point to me where I had to acknowledge that, and then it's something that's beyond male and female. I realized that whatever it is, there is a point where there is no division. There is just a presence that is a primordial force of creation that goes beyond sexes, but different.
Your dog looks like an alien, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Um, uh, so I've just hold that thought, please hold the thought. I'm sorry, but I just want to say this is what I've been working on. When I pray to God, there's times when I get real honest, and I say, Lord, all spirits, I have no idea what you look like. Why am I assuming? Why did they? I don't know if you're male, female, or what you are. How can I possibly know what you are? You know.
right. And from my perspective, I've seen so many different beings that, like, I still wonder, like, what's next? Like, there's no definite answer ever. It's just like a holographic, morphogenic universe of constant changing realities that shift in and out of reality. You know?
And and so much more. It's like
And
our minds are we're so critical and so we think you have to get to the point, this at least for me. So I'm at the point that I realize I don't know anything.
right,
That's after college, university, and being a father, being married, this, that, and the other, all this stuff that
right,
and I'm just like,
that's
the
right.
more I've learned, the more I realize, phrase and go, it's really true. I don't know anything. Hold on a second, let me expand that. I don't know a thing. And what I think I know is not even close to being right. So I'm trying to stop thinking altogether at this point. And, to be as a child to start understand what that really means. Look at
Yeah,
that. That's right in your hand palm, man. That's what the Orb Whisperer in Australia can do as well. And did you know that that was happening, or did you see it land in your hand?
I,
Did you,
so I felt I could feel the energy, and when I know when I take a picture that good things are going to happen.
You
Um,
feel the energy. That's how it is, man. That's we can't see these things without the aid of this. We're becoming, I call them digital shamans through the camera. But they used hallucinogenics and stuff like that to see things. The camera itself, we're all becoming digital shamans, and we don't even realize that. And oh, look at that! And the only way to see these things or film them is to be in the right frequency and feeling.
that's
So when
right.
you're in a positive mood, more of these things show up. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and when you ask them to show themselves, they show themselves.
That's so cool.
So
Do you ever see these ones with your own eyes?
what I see with my own eyes are sparks of light all day, but not to the point you would think I'm flooded by them. I might see one or two sparks out of the corner of my eye, and I know that it's them only because I had a camera in my hand ready to take a picture, saw a spark, and immediately within a second took a picture, and it just happened to be a ball of light.
So it's interesting. A lot of these patterns look almost like what humans designed first. They see what the humans designed first and then mimic it. And that's where the confusion comes in, is because people think it's humans making those crop circles, but there's been videos of orbs hovering over and making it happen. So,
Right.
of course, there are also hoaxers, just like in Bigfoot. There's people running around in costumes. And the only way you're going to know what's really going on is by talking to guys like you or myself, who actually have experience of what's really going on, and then find out for yourself by doing it. Well, you're just flipping through them, man. So that gives you a week. Now, try to let's make it next Tuesday. So that way, next week, because people are going to see this, are going to know you. There's going to be more people too.
Okay.
And because we just we weren't really planning this, and like you said, I'm censored. Yeah, send me. Spend half an hour, an hour, sending some of the images you want to talk about, and we can go through that. And if you can send them in order the way you want to go through it, that would be nice. And email it to me. Or are you on Facebook?
Yes. Real quick, if when you crop an orb circle, right, and you make it into a 4x6 picture, I was able to hold a picture and take a picture of yourself, and the orb would appear looking at itself.
No kidding. Well, that's very revealing. I wonder if that would happen to a Bigfoot researcher. If they went out in the field with an image of the supposed Bigfoot, if it would show up just to see it.
Right. And also there's some beings here that I just want to show real quick that are beautiful. They came to me when I was doing what is known as CE5, and I never got anything so weird but so beautiful on camera. And this is the stringy looking beings appeared for 1 or 2 days in my pictures, and the highlight is this one right here. These two of them right here that were taken days apart.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Oh, look at that one. That's something you definitely see.
Some say that looks like the Eye of Horus.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on what's in your mind, right? How you're going to project and make it what you're going to see.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see that. I saw. Look at that one.
Well, I'll go back to this one.
What I see.
Sorry.
It's tough. That's why, if you can, really do spend. I'll make it worth your while to make a nice intro video.
Okay.
It's going to take me a whole day. So if you spend half an hour sending me videos,
Okay.
I'm going to spend a whole day doing it. So if you show me that, and you're not going to blow me off, you prove to me that I can trust you. So I'll put the time in. Look at that. This universe is so more complex than we can even imagine. Look at that one. That would be what somebody might say is a what?
Fairy.
A fairy. But look at that one. Now have you ever seen the video of the one angelic six-winged being that shows up in somebody's back porch, get captured on a camera, and it shows up and it manifests into like I think it's a 4 or 6 wing being from light, and the wings fold out and everything, and it gets real, like 5-6 feet tall.
It sounds familiar. Now, remember my confirmations. These are my confirmations now. If I'm in my backyard and I feel like I want to make a connection and show me that you're with me still, they will appear balanced on a straight line like this. Perfectly balanced.
What does that mean?
like this. Even up or down, perfectly balanced on a straight line.
Whatever the conch. Right.
So, but I do have to go.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you
And
all.
it was to me, it was a real blessing. It's going to help me get on my journey. I hope you do come back Tuesday
Oh well,
because,
we can make.
um,
Um,
you know, I don't know how you feel about me, but I feel real positive about you. So I
yeah,
really appreciate you.
Tuesdays work perfectly.
Okay, we'll do that, man. Tuesday night at 9:00. That way, and I'll have enough time. Just make sure to like send me the stuff by if you can, if you can remember. I know everyone gets distracted, and I know I'm not the priority in your life, but if you can get this stuff sent to me by Monday, so I can do a
Okay,
good video and get
okay,
it in a file for it. If
okay,
you could also send it to me in order of
okay,
the sequence of how you want to talk about
okay.
it,
Very good. I shall do.
and we'll do a good job about it. We'll get it out there in the ether. Okay.
You got it. I will definitely. And my apologies because I got caught up with doing stuff today, and I had your email, and I got to the point where I thought about I was gonna send you a bunch of pictures, and then everything got sidetracked. And
Yeah,
but
give yourself.
I
Give you.
got to the thought.
We'll make it happen, bro.
We'll make it happen.
Jim's Lindsay, also known as Black Atom,
Yeah.
and you will find his link in the information box for those who check this out. So,
All right, so we still got a lot more to go through, especially my last out of body experiences. I've always been able to freely travel into space, and recently I hit a barrier which was never there before.
really?
And when I hit this barrier, the first time I experienced the barrier, I was infused with spiritual energy. This happened like a month ago, and I burst through it and went into the atmosphere, and I turned into a light and spun and sent this love light out to the universe, inviting all positive ETs to come say hi. Then that's when I changed my name to Black Adam, because I had my fists clenched like Black Adam and was like full of this power. So I had changed
Yeah.
Black Adam. But then after that, I did the same thing, but I wasn't infused with spiritual energy. I was like, I'm gonna go up and see space again within the last month, and I hit a barrier that I'd never hit before. It didn't hurt or nothing. I just couldn't get into space, which I thought was odd. And then I looked into the sky and I saw these giant stairs appear made of grass. So it got to thinking that maybe I'm supposed to turn into a giant and walk up these stairs. So that's what's been doing on the astral plane, is trying to manifest this 100-foot giant and see if I could do it. That's been my homework for the astral world.
That is so interesting. I can't wait to hear the report on that one. So with that, okay,
Okay.
James, I'm going to close. You can leave. I'm going to close it out with
All right.
closing music.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Many blessings to you, my brother.
Thank you.
And I mean that sincerely. I hope
I'll talk to you soon.
you're blessed a million times more than me. So take care, bro.
No. We are all one consciousness that's just learning and growing and sharing. And there's nothing to be. We have it within us. It's just a matter of us helping each other, just as you are helping me bring it out. It's just an honorable sharing of this infinite light. So thank you.
Yes. Many blessings, my friend.
All right, bye.
Bye. And we'll close out with some music. And I know that nobody's here. I don't understand. Nobody doesn't seem to get my heavily censored. But then again, I don't think this is for many people, to be honest with you. This is next level of truth. I don't think there's too many people that can handle it. I mean, I think you have to go through so many levels of deconstruction of who you are, what people told you who you are, to find your authentic self. And it's part of the journey, man. And I think the closer and closer you get, the fewer and fewer people even want to hear you. Not that I ever was that great at this. I never intended to be great at this. But I can say with certainty that the closer that you pursue the truth, the way in life, the further away you are and more isolated you are from this world and closer you are to God, and become closer to your own true self. I think it's fascinating a guy like James can do that, can make this happen, can actually make them fly. We need to talk more about that because he says he doesn't see it, but he knows it's happening. He sees it. We watch it happening. He says he can't even see it. That's very interesting. I see stuff in the side of my eyes that almost looks like clear plasma, little balls. They're really small, like they're just really. At times I think they're dust, but they can't be dust. The way they move around, you know. I just saw one dart by me right now, but I don't think it showed up on the camera. Anyways, where do we go with this? Stop my tracks here. We'll go with another gift from the Lord of all spirits. I think then we'll end it with the intro music to Natha.
Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. There are ways out. There is a light somewhere. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind. Go all the way. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. It could mean freezing on a park bench. It could mean jail. It could mean derision, mockery, isolation. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it, despite rejection and the worst odds. And it will be better than anything else you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There is no other feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. All the way. All the way. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is.
We live in a reality that is interconnected by the physical and non-physical, essentially the spiritual. The non-physical would be everything that operates on the quantum level, like particles and waveforms, or that which is unexplainable by materialist science. The illusion of reality is that there is no spiritual aspect or force governing our experience here. Within this illusion, we find all our experiences to be real, and they are. However, what real is has been redefined over time.